Toilano again with more strange secrets. We're talking superpowers today and a little bit on why we don't have them. My last message, I revealed to everyone that Star Wars can be found to be based on a true story. That was the event of the constellation Leo, the event that gave that area of space its name and symbolism. Sometimes we all go through events so large, symbols are given meaning in an attempt to preserve the memory. Okay, this is why souvenir shops exist. This is the blatant reason people identify with symbols. They're a shortcut to a memory that invokes an emotion. All our religions originate from miracle moments that create symbols, or else it's just a cult. The symbolism of the constellations all have meaning, literally, of cosmic proportions. We forgot these because knowing them don't pay the bills as well as knowing about, your precious mitochondria. Your Common Core fake math is allegedly more important. That's all. So, Pokemon, Godzilla, superheroes. This time I'll tell you about when I contacted a non-zodiac constellation to find out a lot more amazingness you want to hear, because it explains why we throw money at these big time franchises to hear stories that seem like they'll never actually fit with humanity's story, past, present, or future. I mean, we all watch the movies, buy the action figures and the merch, the shirts and all that. We follow the characters no matter who's writing the story or who's playing the part in what's usually an impossible story. How does this happen? If superpowers are not part of our shared experience somewhere, why would a human spend money to be teased with such a story? How do we let it get so big? And these stories, they go way back. These, Beowulf, Gilgamesh, Trojan War. It's like there's always been stories of, like this. It should be strange for a planet full of powerless humans, flightless souls that don't have a clue about themselves, to always be telling each other stories of heroes with advantageous abilities who never lived here and never will. Same for a giant lizard stomping Tokyo and fighting other giant monsters with atomic breath. How much money do these silly stories make so far? Godzilla, Pokemon. People see a trailer and for a new Godzilla movie and they get excited. I do too. Is it because we're teasing ourselves, wasting our time with the impossible? How is it pre-programmed into the human where we're open to accept these stories that we honestly, need to admit are insane? And I'm asking too many questions and not answering anything. Hold on. My last message, I explained how in meditation you can leave the body and explore the cosmos. You do not need a rocket ship to visit the other side of the galaxy or even the farthest end of the universe. You can sense it from where you are right now if you could just shut everything else out. And it's important, that what you're trying to sense is even understandable to you in the first place. But you'll get what you can get when you reach out and try. You were made from this universe. You are 1/3 of the universe. Everything belongs to you, not just a few little humans who can afford a space program. Okay. Last time talked to Leo and found that it's most likely the inspiration for the movie franchise Star Wars. Tatooine, Dune, and Tremors could all spring from the same collective past life soul memory, because those sandworms are a common thread, that they're freaking real. But it's not rocket science, it's quantum physics. And real quick, I gotta teach you about fields. Your modem, it creates an area where your devices can work as expected. The area is called a field. everywhere. You outside the field, your device stops working. You know you're outside it. So a field is any place where rules are applied. Physical fields can be for soccer, one for an airport, grow corn at another field. You get it. In quantum, you apply rules to space, and it bends to your will. You only gain this ability after mastering enough of reality, of your own. You are the piece of reality you're here to master, okay? So don't worry about anything. Oh, what am I supposed to figure out? Yourself. You're supposed to figure out yourself. When you do, you're the Wizard of Oz in real life with the power to create worlds. And this is where we're going. Believe it or not. And it's the hardships that are taking us there. Every star has its own unique energetic presence, their primary field. This is marked by the extent of their gravitational hold. Our star, his presence seems to end at the Kuiper Belt. Beyond that is beyond would be beyond Sol's influence. So, beyond that, it could be a blank slate. Physics could change here, even drastically. But without something telling it what to do and how to behave, it it could be up for grabs. The reason things are the way they are here under the sun is because from a higher place, we all set the rules. Okay, I'll tell you why someday. But we did choose all of this. We created the field for this, then joined into play. We wrote the rule book and decided the objectives before taking the flesh and acting out these roles. We decided here that we would be so powerless. This is where I'm going with all this. We decided here from above that we would be so clueless. Okay, we decided that here couldn't be much traffic, so that we're left to wonder if we're alone. Otherwise, we don't make the movies and tell stories about aliens that we have made. That never happens, if not for secrecy. Okay, we decided that the difficulty level for survival here would be set to 12. So it would force us into inevitable war, blaming each other for our hardships when really it's our crap DNA that we've been stuck with for a long time. There are special reasons we tell each other stories of mythical humans like the X-Men, leaving us to dream, but without a shred of hope. Unless you really think you're gonna become Wolverine or something, just relax. Okay. We don't learn anything from a superpowered dude coming in to save the day for us. It's cheating, but we've found a lot of value in it. So here we go. A universe makes its own rules and ambitions for play. A galaxy makes its own rules within those broad limits, those parameters. A star then makes its rules to fit within the galaxies. A planet makes its rules and caveats within its stars. Finally, you, the singular sovereign being, decides your rules inside of all of that. You decide how you're going to play. So, from here to Cassiopeia, okay, the rules of existence of playing here can change a million times. All right, tweak the vibe a little, tweak the DNA a little, okay, and the whole way of life is completely different. If you think this entire universe is for everyone to live the same way, you're not getting divine creative purpose. No star is living the same way we are. That doesn't make any sense. A planet rising from its own evolutionary starting point should develop into something most of us can't imagine from here. There is no nature versus nurture. It's nature plus nurture develops diversity. You look out there, and each star would represent millions of different ways to live a life that can't be applied here with our stupid ways of life. And this is pretty much the main reason the oneness separated into us. Creation is not trying to find one best way to live. It's trying to find new and different, interesting ways to live, and we do that. We're good at that. Survival of the fittest is what the ego always sees when it's too much of a boy to see the harmony of existence. There's never a wolf eating a rabbit, shredding the gentle creature to pieces. That's not real. There's only Gaia trying to teach us and wake us up with fearful imagery. The whole time it's been that. I gotta start getting into the fun stuff. As souls, you're infinite while the stars are not. You were here since before they ever ignited. So you can ask yourself, you can inquire your own history by going in. You've most likely lived among other constellations if you're already here. Also, you unwittingly brought something here from there that we need and didn't have before. So figure that out for us, what that was, all right? It's going to help us get forward. So, after meeting Leo and learning what happened there and how they got their symbolism, I asked for more. This is when Spirit went and told me about the next most exciting constellation it could have told me about, where the superheroes are. I grew up a total comic book nerd, so it makes sense if I had a lifetime there. Many of Earth's creatures do have superpowers. They're just not anything so big it could prematurely spark actual interest in looking into them other than witchcraft. You watch Pokemon and they have critters that can fire a lightning bolt through a mountain. Earth's animals, their powers have to be way more subtle. Forever unnoticeable to people stuck in survival mode, hoping to just eat something. When are we going to put barbecue sauce on? Something like that. If that's the way you look at animals, you're never going to see what I see. So, like owls and hammerheads, the hammerhead sharks, they have powers that make camouflage, even hiding, almost irrelevant. As they scan the ground below them, they're only using their outer eyes so they don't crash into anything. To find prey, they use their inner eye to sense the tiny bit of bioelectricity of a nervous system, bypassing a prey's, physical abilities and hiding itself. Deer use their antlers to extend their own nervous system deep into their surroundings. This is why a lot of ancient Asian art will have a gold disc. They'll show a gold disc or like a sun in the antlers. They're trying to tell us something. Come on. So there should be one leader of every herd with the best of vision to lead the members to water when they need it and to find enough food. Different horns and antlers for different animals have different uses. This is why they're believed to be magic, to the point where desperate humans hunt the animals just for horn. This kind of magic does not work anymore because Gaia says it's time to discover our inner magics. She turned it off a couple of years ago, leaving people now with just these immoral placebos. So don't worry about it. That's going away. How about one more? When someone tells you a dog's sense of smell is 1,000 times stronger than ours, don't bother imagining what it's like. When a dog turns on its smelling abilities and focuses, right, it's being filled with data we can't imagine. This is why they can't stay out of the garbage. Okay, dogs are out there detecting cancer. You think cancer has a smell? Its vibration can be translated into a scent, and cancer would be its own vibration separate from the host. It's pungent. A pet sensing a pregnancy is detecting the magnetic presence of another heart inside the new mom. 100% accuracy. That's why. It's just could be hormones too. But that's universal. Living on a planet full of superpowered pets would actually have a lot to teach a species like humanity. Now, we classify things like children living among Pokemon would force humanity to classify things by what they're capable of, things they can do. Um, yeah, so it would keep a race like humanity in a higher, more complicated mentality. To be dependent on them, other than their dead meat, yeah, that would work. That would do it. Real quick, just today as I'm writing this up, I figured out how the Pokeballs fit in because that part is what's too far fetched for me. Of all of it, that part's what does it for me. Sorry. Pokeballs make the entire series dependent on a contraption. Reality would have the animals disappear when they're asleep into their own soul self, which could appear as little glowing orbs that could have flashed red and white. You know, we catch soul orbs on camera all the time, but they're just white. Um, Befriending or attracting one of these animals could turn them into your spirit guide / pet, who would emerge from the place we all go when we sleep. But they would take their physical body with them. And as we said that Yeti, Bigfoot, can't be caught because they make portals. And this is only one of their many planets. I'll do a message on Bigfoot someday. But we can't catch one because they don't sleep here. You know, they don't leave corpses either. So that's a big problem for, to prove their existence. But they'll protect their trainer against wild Pokemon, just like the game. And in a fight with another human, the animals would appear instead of the humans getting into it. So, sorry. No choosing or balls to throw. A trainer would be walking around with his animals circling in soul form, watching from the other side of the veil until they're needed. And maybe how they rest. It's only this planet in this star system that particularly chose that animals have to do things here like mate and eat each other. It's actually, it'd be pretty lame if those two things were completely universal. It would get old. It'd get run out. I mean, look how many stars, how many planets there must be. Come on. It's about diversity. So yeah, once one likes you, they just disappear into your aura. So I'm gonna try to skip some here. That was Cassiopeia. One of those planets in there, people had a superpowered pets, and it taught them a lot. So how about Godzilla? Did anyone realize yet that when Godzilla lights up his back and charges, that's symbolic of lighting up your Kundalini, and you do this for when you want to do serious energy work. You breathe correctly and you bring up your emotional energy up the spine, and that's how you gather your chi, your prana. Oh, I gotta make this brighter, or not. So that would be how Godzilla would hit so hard. He takes, or is it a she? It takes the time to charge itself. Godzilla's the only one who does that, who breathes in, and the thing about Godzilla is it wouldn't come from its mouth. And this is the same for fire-breathing dragons. They wouldn't come from their mouths, but it would be emanated from the Vishita, the throat chakra. And no one would actually see the energy moving. That's for Hollywood. Everyone in real life would see the monster get mad, hear it roar, and then whatever's in front of the kaiju would be obliterated. That's it. Oh man. Let's skip that. Blah blah blah. This is so in Cassiopeia, to stop Godzilla or to change him, into a hero, they most likely had to do something, like learn something as a society or as a civilization, emotion based, control. Because we're talking about a reptile brain here, that's completely out of control. And because this is a constellation with superheroes, this is where you could have characters like Ultraman mixed in. Sorry, Cassiopeia. I do not feel as though Cassiopeia was the only constellation where you would see humanoids with superpowers, but it's one of the few that would resemble like a Marvel or DC universe to that extent. Peter Pan actually has the clues to human flight, not to jump around. Earth humans are supposed to fly. You never will, with all the things weighing us down. No adult is lighthearted enough to fly. That's the message from Peter Pan. We don't fly because we don't allow it. We grew up the wrong way. All of our superpowers are turned off at the DNA level. We're supposed to have more strands, more complex DNA than this flimsy double helix. That's as weak as it gets. This is survival mode DNA. Your proof, what I said before, that the difficulty is at 12. Okay, I mean, so what would it take? I'm going to skip ahead here. What would it take to get super strength? You want to be stronger than the Hulk? You take strength out of the equation. Physical matter can become your servant when you make yourself that person. Super strength would come from the ability to tell the physical object that it is weightless. When you can convince physical matter it has no weight, you can lift anything. That's how they did it over there. Okay? Marvel Universe does it with a gamma bomb. Cassiopeia, you're telling everything what it weighs. Okay? That's the difference. Eye beams wouldn't come from your outer eyes, but your third eye chakra. Your clue here goes all the way back to ancient Egypt. Kem, when their art would show a snake emerging from the pharaoh's brow, this was symbolizing the hiding power that the leaders of Kem learned to materialize. Hand beams would be, your palm chakra. You're opening it to the point where higher energies spill out. Stretchy powers is kind of ridiculous. Impossible. But you should be able to learn to shape your energetic field to stretch and do your bidding like invisible magical limbs. And this could go through walls and stuff like that. You can mess up the room next to you easily. And I could keep going re-explaining more, but I just want to show you the idea of superpowers don't seem that far-fetched when they can be obtained through spiritual practices, work, doing their work, like energy work, instead of diving into a vat of toxic waste or something like that. In Cassiopeia, had to have the alter ego, and that's an energetic switch in the heart center. Excuse me. A lot of superheroes are normal 1 minute, then morph into a muscle-bound character in a heartbeat. Shazam's most popular. That's the alter ego. That's how that works. Yeah, that was in the heart center. It was activated by will. And it was just in their DNA. That's just the best way I can explain it. We just don't have it here right now. And then one more thing. A lot of superheroes look to their left wrist to receive a distress call or a news in danger. Dick Tracy had that screen watch before anybody else. Power Rangers had it. And now we wear our watches here. This is a habit from Cassiopeia. And left side's the feminine side. Because Cassiopeia is the seated goddess. How can the symbol apply here? It's kind of hard. It's a contradiction. Feminine energy is motion and is creative. Masculine is stoic and still. History says the myth surrounding Cassiopeia is that she was an arrogant queen. But this could easily just be another typical woman-bashing story from antiquity designed to muddy our perception of the divine feminine. She's a seated goddess, but in raging Poseidon, and suffering as punishment sounds like an egoic old wives' tale designed to convince children it's wrong to be feminine. How did humanity put away its superpowers? By shunning our divine feminine sides a long time ago. Just 200,000 years ago, and we've been struggling without a clue ever since. It's starting to come back, though. There's a good reason it had to go. And that reason has passed. Okay? Our divine energy, the divine feminine is coming back. I see people grabbing it and making their lives better, while those around them that aren't trying yet get jealous. I know the truth about Poseidon, many of the Greek gods. I'll have to share them with you someday because we don't have any of the original Greek gods. We have the Roman narrative about the Greeks, and it gets us nowhere. Okay, you need to remember that losing the truth about their gods is the biggest reason Greece is diminished to where they are today, when that land once stood as the pinnacle. That's if the feminine energy is sitting at Cassiopeia, then I want to say those guys, they're doing everything they want. The myth says that Cassiopeia boasted about her beauty and the beauty she makes. I'll tell you, there's a sense of competition. There's competition when you connect with that constellation. Besides the action, adventure, and fighting, you wanted to make it look good. Okay, I feel many constellations have beings playing with superpowers, but Cassiopeia, because of that competitive art vibe, actually has superheroes. There's competition in having the coolest powers, the best little code name, and the sexiest costume. This attracts souls to play, but without enough of a masculine structure, there's a risk of the creativity running out. And maybe that's what they meant with Poseidon coming down on him. More of a warning. Because if you can keep it new, you're good. If you can keep it fresh and interesting, you're good. We are evolving back into a planet of normalcy with gifts coming back, but I bet we can make it go faster. The old world is dying, and this is why so many kids can't grasp the world being given to them. They can't hold on to the baton because it's fading away. They can't keep the torch lit because the creative fuel is spent. I say thank God they're going to do something else. Next time you're stargazing, put the drama aside. Don't start with the I wishes and tell everyone how much it sucks you can't go to the stars. And just start receiving the data. They're always transmitting like a quantum roar. Okay? They're shining more than just light. They're radiating entire stories. Okay? Their own story is what they're radiating. And this is way longer than I thought it'd be. Alright, so that's some truths regarding superpowers. This is what I got when I connected out there. If it makes sense, right? So it's not so dumb to check out the comics, watch what Hollywood makes about them, buy the merch, have fun, play the games. I'm going to go play some Pale World right now. I got to start making shorter videos. Next time I'll tell you about another zodiac constellation, Scorpio, and the meaning that we're actually missing from that particular scorpion symbolism. So if you know someone with a scorpion tattoo, get ready to have new meaning for them. Something to tell them about. Click if you like it. Subscribe for more if you like these stories. I don't think, I got so many more coming. Share me with a fan of superheroes, please. They might appreciate hearing this. Or, Godzilla, Pokemon. All right. Oilano's done. Thank you. Much love. And goodbye.